Hello everyone. I don't know in what order I'll post these videos, but I will say this video has been a long time in the making. And I'm just gonna go ahead and say the title of the video, which is I Was Abused. So it's taken a while for me to say this publicly, much less on the internet. Recently, I was a speaker. I did a presentation for a small group, and I remember that was part of my story that I had to share to kind of prove the point of what I was talking about. And I was nervous, and I was like, man, before I say this, should I give a disclaimer? Should I say something? And I was like, no, because I didn't want to start crying or like take away my courage to say what needed to be said. Thankfully, I mentioned it very briefly and kept it moving. And so after that, speaking with the person who hosted the meeting, I was like, that was my first time saying that publicly. And she was like, oh, wow, you were so calm, you did so well. And so that kind of gave me the strength to say, yes, I can talk about this. It is a possibility. What I will say is that as a young girl, I experienced sexual abuse by people that were known to me, which is often what happens. It's not necessarily the stranger danger kind of thing. But what I really want to focus on is how that has affected me and how that has fueled the advocacy that I have today, the compassion that I have for others, why I think the way I think and why I move the way I move. What I will say is that a person who has survived trauma or who has survived abuse, one, your brain is changed in that the way you think about yourself and the world is changed. Many times you may internalize it. You may blame yourself. You may think, as young as you were as a kid, that you could have done something differently. You think that you could have stopped it, which is you in your adult mind thinking about what a child would have done, which makes no sense, and even though it was a wrong that was done to you, you still find some way to be responsible. You still find a way to think about how you could have made a difference, how you could have made a change. Another thing I would say, or another effect of abuse, is feeling like no one stepped up for you, no one came in to save you, because of course no one's going to know unless you tell them. But I remember as a child, I used to think, I wished my teacher would notice and say something. I used to think about that. I used to think almost like a TV show, if you grew up in the 90s, especially, maybe the 2000s, a lot of those sitcoms like Full House, etc., had a lot of sappy moments where the music would change. It's like, oh, honey, what's wrong? It's like, Dad, I got an F today. And it's a whole situation. So that is how I process things. As a child, I was waiting for someone to kind of come in and, you can say, save me, or to notice something was wrong, to rescue me, or to just kind of put an end to everything. Someone to comfort me, someone to say what happened wasn't okay, and to say, I'm going to help guide you moving forward. I didn't get that. I did tell my mom about it. She believed me, thank God. But I can't say that it was this whole miraculous thing like, oh, now we're going to tell off so-and-so person, and this whole dramatic thing. So, through therapy, I've realized as well that sometimes when it comes to, like I said, surviving trauma and things like that, you start to see other people in your life as a savior, as a fixer, as someone who can love the unlovable parts of you, the parts that you think are unlovable, because, you should be loved for who you are. You start to see relationships and friends as people that can validate you. You may think you're ugly. You may have been bullied like I was growing up. And so when someone wouldn't think I was too dark, it was amazing to me, or I was so happy to know that someone could actually find me beautiful. And it's just so interesting because sometimes we have a thought, we have a belief about ourselves, and we don't realize that it's really coming from our 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year old self that started having those beliefs, that internalized the negative things in the world around us, that saw a problem and said, hey, well, I must be the origin of that problem. Or, yeah, when they said that I'm ugly, I could see some truth to that, or if you had issues with dating, whether it's rejection or you felt that you were never chosen, especially for the girls, you can internalize things. If you feel that your body is not the right size, shape, color, whatever, in whatever dimension, if you feel like your clothes are too big or too small and you wish you could lose weight or gain weight, all of those things can make you feel like, hey, I'm not desirable, I'm not of value, or maybe I'm valued for certain things but not other things. So it's just very interesting, like when you really step back and think about the effects of abuse. Of course, I'm not really going into everything. I don't have like a long list in front of me, but I'm just reflecting and thinking about, the lessons that I've learned as a result of my trauma, as a result of what I've been through. And I would like to say also, I'm so thankful to friends, church members, people that I know that have, been there for me when I've disclosed to them. And then also those that have shared their story and has helped me to be able to share mine. Because, seeing people in a public space sharing what has happened to them, that has been a very hard thing for me sometimes. It has been triggering. Sometimes I've cried listening to presentations about rape and things like that. But I would say, and this is from me now doing this, sharing your story is helpful. It should only be done at the right time and, not by force or obligation. But I do see where the stories that tell what we've been through, what we've survived, with a capital S, survived, are healing. It also, how can I say, it might sound funny, but like I would say it makes it real. It's like, yes, this did happen to me, because I will say there is a part of my story that I've kind of wavered on. Did this really happen? Did this not happen? Maybe I have amnesia, which victims of abuse have as well. Certain things are way more clear than others. And I say to myself, I don't think I even want to remember those things that are not so clear to me. But all of this to say, I'm glad that I have been able to talk about it in therapy and with friends and trusted people. I think if you are an abuse victim, I always advocate for therapy, but seriously though, look for someone who's trained in trauma, or that's the kind of therapy that they do. A lot of things with trauma are stored in your body, whether it's headaches, stomach aches, tension, back aches, etc. The other thing is, if you have a child or someone that reports to you, please get that child help as far as the legal system, whether it's reporting it, but also therapy. That's something that I wish I had when I was younger. I wish that as a child I had been able to talk to a therapist and express myself at that time in my own words, or get the ball rolling on things. And I would say also, this is going to sound so cliche, but I would say, yes, we might blame ourselves. Yes, we may feel bad or even throw a pity party for ourselves. But what I want to say is, you are not alone. You can get through it. That's the key right there. You can have a healthy relationship. You can experience intimacy and love without feeling pain or feeling tortured or feeling like it's an obligation or feeling like, what am I doing? Is this person going to run away and leave me tomorrow? Yes, they said they love me today, but I'm not really worth anything, so why should they be here? There's so much that can go on in our heads. We can talk about attachment styles and personality types and etc. But I guess what I want to say is it takes a lot for someone to share their story. So please be so mindful how you treat that person afterwards. If you're not sure what to say, really don't say anything. Ask those who know. You can say thank you for sharing, or I'm proud of you for speaking up. But we have to be so kind, because people who have experienced abuse often are not even kind to themselves, or they struggle with healing, or the pain, or the memories, or feeling like I should have gotten over this by now, so why is it still bothering me? And I'm glad that I have come to the point where I'm able to talk about this, because it took a lot of work even to talk about it to my therapist. But thank you guys so much for listening. I'll try to put some resources below, and definitely I appreciate your comments, your likes, and your shares. Thank you.